Bill.
Yo! Hey!
Wonderful to see you tonight. My name is Rhonda Whitaker. Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. Welcome to our Tuesday night meeting. We'd like to have you meet our club president, Mr. Will Burns. Help me warmly welcome Will Burns.
Yo!
Thank you, Rhonda. Once again, welcome Toastmasters, guests at home, viewers at home, and guests here today. We have a very exciting off-the-cuff meeting tonight. We have a plan for it, but we're going to have a lot of table topics, a lot of off-the-cuff speaking, and we have a new Toastmaster tonight. Karen Aoki, please come on up.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I don't see any guests. Oh, honored guests and viewers at home. I'm Karen Aoki, and I'm the Toastmaster tonight. And as the Toastmaster, I will be making sure that we adhere to the schedule and that things run smoothly. First up on the agenda, I will be introducing the role players, and as I call on you, I'll have you stand up, introduce yourself and your role, and that's how we'll proceed. So let's start with the timer. Rahul Watts.
My name is Rahul Watts, and I'll be the timer for tonight. We have a lot of table topics, and table topics are usually 1 to 2 minute speeches. Green light will be turned on at 1 minute. Yellow light will be turned on at 1:30. Red will be turned on at 2 minutes and will remain on until the end of your speech. We only have one speeches tonight, and it's a 7 to 9 minute speech, so the green light would go on at 7, yellow at 8.
No, it's 7 to 11.
You changed 7 to 11?
7 to 11?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sorry.
green would go at the 9, yellow would go on at 10, and 11.
7, 9, 11, that's what she wants.
Okay. 7, 9, and 11, as per Tom. Thank you, Tom. And every speaker would have grace period of 30 seconds. After the 30 seconds would be over, you would be disqualified. And speech evaluators are 2 to 3 minutes. It includes table topics. Green at 2, yellow at 2:30, and red at 3. Back to you.
Thank you. And our counter is Rhea Saint.
My job tonight is the counter. I'll be keeping track of all of the filler words such as and, but, you know, so, pauses, tongue clicks, and false starts. And I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
And our grammarian, Catherine Kens.
My name is Catherine. The word of the day is cacophony, which is a noun. To describe harsh or sudden sounds. An example of that was today I had my first opera lesson, and I was practicing with several people, and that resulted in a cacophony. Tonight I'm the grammarian, so I will be reviewing uses of the English language and picking out particular phrases or words that really kick it up a notch or stand out in some way. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. For the next role players, I'll just mention them in passing, and all these role players will give a report at the end. Our greeter, joke master tonight is Larry Allen, who is a guest, and he's interested in becoming a member very soon. Thank you, Larry. Our general evaluator is Rhonda Whitaker, and our ballot leader counter is Ryan Olson. We have a full evening of table topics. Coming up, we have 3 table topics masters, and we will start with Slobodan.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow members, viewers at home, and all our guests. This is the fun part of the meeting, when everybody can participate, including the guests. And actually, these guests have already participated, at least once that I remember. So, everybody's invited. Do we have the first volunteer? As far as I can see, I think everybody will volunteer, so should we just go in order?
What's it about?
Oh, this one? Well, it's about the best time of your life, your school years. How about that?
Larry.
All right,
I'm all
let's
yours.
go. Perfect. Welcome, Larry. Stand here.
The best time of life?
Yes. No, I mean, the school years are the best time of your life, and I'm going to make a question to guide you towards the school years, and you can tell me about the best time of your life later.
Oh, certainly. Well,
Now, do you want to choose a question between 1 and 3, or 1 and 4, or 1 and 5?
well, just give you one topic, and I can give you.
Well, they're all different. So you want the number 1 then?
Sure.
Perfect. Elementary school for me was a big surprise. I didn't go to any preparation myself. So I went from being a free kid to somebody who was in school. It scared me.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry.
That's good. So, can you tell us how was your first day in elementary school experience?
My first day in elementary.
Oh, let's say first week. Maybe the first week. What were you expecting? What you got? What you liked about it? What you
Well,
liked about it?
my first day in teaching school.
That'd be good. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Teaching and coaching.
Yes.
Great.
Sounds good. Good. My first week in coaching, Williams Junior High, 8th grade. We've got about 48 to 50 young men. Over 3/4 of them thought an athletic supporter was a flagpole carrier. So we're talking about beginning football, 1-on-1. I told them, you come to practice, I'll make sure you get at least 4 plays during the game. Now, when you only have 22 to 26 offensive plays in a quarter or in a half, and that about the same many on defense, so it makes it kind of tough. We got 4 platoons. So I had a pretty good quarterback, and I had a couple ends I had at Monroe School, so they kind of knew something about football. I told them we're going to be calling some audibles. Audibles, well, that's where we make calls on the line of scrimmage. Otherwise, I'm going to be calling plays from the sideline. So we're playing. We end up being about 4th and 22, down about our own 10-yard line. So I send a halfback in with play. It says, you tell Joe if he wants to keep his job, you better punt. So Joe runs in there, and the quarterback said, what Coach Bell say? Oh my goodness, I forgot. So he looks at me on the sideline. I don't know, time's running out. So he says, Joe, or to Jim, think you can beat your guy down off pass? Yeah. Here we are, 4th and 22. Pass the ball. Jim catches the ball, runs out of bounds. And 1st and 10. And the parents up there and the principal, hey, great play, go Phil, great play, great play. Thank you, Lord, thank you. So, now, should I send another halfback in play? No, Joe made a good call. I'll give him benefit of the doubt. I won't send another halfback in. So meantime, the same halfback's still in there. And Joe says, or the halfback says, I remember Coach Bell said, he said, if you want to keep your job, you better punt. He looks over me in the sideline, I know what's going on, so what he has to do, he backs up 10 yards and kicks the ball. No! And the parents are up there, the principal's, Bell, what the heck are you doing up there? You know? Pardon me, Lord, pardon me. One of the experiences of coaching, so I wish to thank you.
Go!
Thank you, Larry. Who was just was for you, but I'll keep you in mind for the next question. How about that?
Okay.
Are you still having your?
Yes.
Okay, hand up. Perfect. Please come over here. Now, I want to I can assume one was still available, right? One, because I know you're having questions about coaching. 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5.
3.
Perfect. How about 1?
Give it to me.
No, 3. You went from elementary school now to high school. Do you remember your first high school day? When you went there, you saw these new kids, new teachers, new location, new hormones. Can you tell us something about it?
Yes. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Nice to see you again, Rolling. Honored guests and viewers at home. My first time in high school. Actually, I had 3 first day times in high school. First, once I finished my elementary, I went to high school. It was a private school, which was a little bit different from me because I grew up in the street. I grew up with, I won't say with the gangs, but I was just a rough kid. And going to a private school, it was really weird for me, even shaking hands with the kids. How you doing? Every time that I introduced myself, I shook hands because that's the way I was taught. And it was really funny because as I'm shaking these rich kids' hands, it was like shaking a little girl's hands, really smooth hands. I always had scrapes and bruises. So I got away from school. My interest went down because I just felt out of place. A couple of years went by, and I decided to go back to high school. But by then my age was over the limit that I was allowed in a public high school. So I went to a school what is called like a high school for adults. But by then I was working from pretty much, I will say, from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was really hard to stay awake on my art class, on my history class. My body just wouldn't hold me awake. I would start dozing off. And I was forced to remove myself from high school because I just couldn't keep up with the classes. I gave it a shot again, trying to get my GED, and I was doing pretty good actually on all the subjects, except on math. I needed some help on the fractions, and I was doing so good, but the teacher wasn't really keeping up good control of the class. She was going out to smoke every 10 minutes. So she wasn't really there to support me, and I lost interest because I was able to do the fractions, but I couldn't really comprehend the whole process, so I just quit the high school. And that was the first 3 days of my high school.
Thank you, Jesus. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
Who was your best school buddy in any of the schools? What do you like about him or her the most? And do you
Okay.
still keep in touch with that person?
Okay.
Right?
Thank you. Well, this is a very easy question for me because I only had one school buddy, and but he and I were very close. We met in the 6th grade, and we became very close, fast friends right away. And he and I had some differences, but we both enjoyed a lot of humor and laughter. And we had very different family backgrounds. And so I would get him into mischief and invite him on my paper route, I remember a lot of times. And one day, we were on my paper route and we had just finished, and we were walking by this old building that was down by the river, and it had been abandoned for a long time, kind of like an old factory. And a lot of the windows were already boarded up, and a couple of them had broken panes and stuff. And I said, "Hey, Tom, look at this. This is like the perfect place where it's okay to break windows." And he said, are you sure that's like okay? And I said, yeah, they've already boarded them up, so what do they care whether they're broken or not? And so so we started picking like the finest rocks from the riverbank, and first the rocks were bouncing off until we realized we really had to put all of our muscle into it, and then we started like breaking the lower windows, and we go, wow, this is great fun. And it was on the back side of the building, so nobody could see us from the road or anything. And so we were really getting into it. And my dog Shortcake was there, and who you may hear about some of her escapades at another time. So we were crashing windows, breaking windows, and after about 20 minutes, all of a sudden a squad car showed up. And a police officer got out and he said, I think I'm going to have to take you boys downtown. And I said, well, what's the big deal? We're just finishing off some broken windows here. At least most of them were, some of them were broken. And now most of them were. And then my dog Shortcake, before the police officer had even finished reprimanding us, she ran around and jumped into the squad car. She was like, let's go, I'm ready. And it turns out my friend was actually he was actually a foster care at the time. And so the officer said, so, well, why are you in foster care? And he said, well, my friend and I stole a truck. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't tell him that! That was news to me too. So anyway, that was beginning fun memories with my friend Tom.
Go!
Thank you, Matt. Should we go for somebody else, or?
No, he's done.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Slobodan. Our second table topics master is Cindy.
Yo!
Cindy, filling in for Seth tonight.
My.
Theme tonight is American Bike Month. So we were hearing about high school exploits and grade school exploits, but let's hear about something different. Let's talk about RAGBRAI, being that it's American Bike Month. I have 4 questions, and you can either take one that has been asked before. So there's 3 ways to answer table topics. You can answer the question. You can say, yeah, that's an interesting, RAGBRAI is coming to Fairfield, but I want to tell you this other thing, and just segue off into talking about what you want to talk about, or you can totally ignore the question and go on a topic of your choice. That's the 3 legal and proper ways to answer table topics. Any volunteers? Yes, slow down. Pick a number 1 through 4.
5.
Well, I started to do that one, but I hadn't got there yet.
1.
Number 1, okay. RAGBRAI is coming to Fairfield. You've been asked to chair the entertainment committee. Who would you bring to entertain us, and to entertain the bicyclists, and why? Would you like me to repeat that?
No, thank you.
You got it. All right, great. Enjoy.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and all our guests, I have 2 choices. Actually, I have 4 choices now. Because I have 2 answers to the first question, plus those other 2 choices of talking about something else or not talking at all. But first time I heard about, is it called RAGBRAI or RAGBRAI?
RAGBRAI.
RAGBRAI, about maybe 10 years ago, when some of my friends from Taunton, a town northeast from Iowa City, came here. There was a family of about 15 people, and they were all on the bikes or on their trucks, supporting the people who were on the bikes. But if I was if I was going to do some kind of entertainment for these people, I feel like once you're riding for the whole day, you need to relax. But if you just relax, you just kind of fall down and sleep, your muscles are still running and tired with all this, whatever, there's some special
Lactic acid.
acids that go in your muscles, right? So you really don't want them in your muscles, right? But you're tired to do almost anything else. So what you can do is you can actually dance. So if I was supposed to organize some kind of a welcoming party, I actually have a big group of people who dance and invite all these cyclists. Thank you. There was inviting audience to participate. All these cyclists enjoy dancing because Fairfield is very known for a lot of dancers around here. So thank you very much.
Yo!
Anyone else? Yes, here. Here, Elizabeth. 2, 3, or 4? 4. 4. Okay. Who would you like to ride with you on RAGBRAI as your teammates? And you could have only one person or more than one. And why would you choose them to join you on the bicycle ride?
Yo!
Masters, guests, and viewers at home. I would invite Dennis. And why would I invite Dennis? Because 25 years ago, when RAGBRAI was in Fairfield, the streets were closed off, and they arranged a dance for the RAGBRAI cyclists. And I had 2 little boys then, but I was like, I need to go dance. So that night I arranged for sitters, and I went out to the square and danced. And Dennis invited me to dance. And he was on the bike ride from western Iowa. And we hit it off immediately. He asked if I'm a teacher, and I says, no, I have children. That's the most I teach right now. And we hit it off, danced the night away, and I invited him to my place. But it was a beautiful full moon night, so we had to go swimming in the pond. And me being a naturalist, I just stripped down and went in naked, and he was standing on the bank. And he says, aren't you going to join me? And he says, I can't believe this. I thought I had to go to like Switzerland to meet your kind. So he joined me, and we swam for a while. Was very relaxed, went home, went to bed. And he says, I still can't believe this. I thought I had to go somewhere else to meet your kind. Here I was on 12 acres without electricity and living the split wood, pump water life. And so, needless to say, it was a wonderful, magical 3 years. He brought me a windmill, and he came and built fences for the horses, and it was just a great time. Thank you.
Yo!
Yes, wonderful story. All right, any other volunteers? Will,
Will.
come on up.
Yo!
I see, there's 2 and 3 left.
Let's go with 2.
All right. You're going to ride in RAGBRAI. How will you train to get ready?
Ha!
Thank you, Cindy. Fellow Toastmasters. I want to thank you, Cindy, for giving me the opportunity to train for the RAGBRAI. One of the little weaknesses on my shoulder, one of the little weights I carry around, is the knowledge that I'm not in as good cardiovascular shape as I could be. And one of the best ways to do that would be to actually ride. To train for this, I would I would do shuttle runs. And what a shuttle run is basically you start at a point, you run to another point, we'll say here, you run back. You then run to a further point, Maryland, and you run back. What this does is this trains you to be agile and also gets you to be traveling deceptively far. Because ideally you want to travel a little bit further than just me to the mic or me to Maryland, but you can kind of imagine here given the space. Also, I would train heavily in what's called the Tabata process, or in Tabata training. And Tabata training is a method that was developed by a Japanese researcher, Dr. Tabata, that entails 20 seconds of rigorous activity followed by 10 seconds of rest. So, and this is usually performed for a 4-minute interval. So, for example, you start, you sprint for 20 seconds. You then move at a slower, more like a jog pace. And then you do it again for 4 minutes. That is 8 rounds, and that, you'll definitely feel that. What's remarkable is that it actually trains you for the longer ranges and longer distances as well. So, that's what I would do, and I encourage you all to do the same.
Yo! That's it for my time. And I'd like to turn this lectern back over to our Toastmaster.
I'll wait for the cacophony to settle down before I begin speaking. Our third table topics master is Art Atkinson.
Yo!
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests and viewers at home. My name is Art Atkinson, and our theme tonight has inspired me to look into curious vehicles and opinions about vehicles. So I have some pictures of very interesting objects. I'm going to invite you to come and take a look at the pictures and tell us a little bit about the object and what you would do with it, or what you think about that as a method of conveyance. Who'd like to try this first? Cindy. Pick a sheet of paper out of here that has photographs on it. Pick one out. Show everybody what you're looking at, and
Oh, there's 2 different pictures on here now.
choose.
Choose. Oh my. Okay. This is.
Which one did you choose?
Which one do I choose?
So bicycle is evidently, in the opinion of someone, a curious vehicle because its rider is the source of power. Not all vehicles are that way. She has one here which somebody else supplies the motive power. And then here we have something else supplying the motive power if you're the rider in the sidecar. So, Cindy, tell us something about one of these.
I choose the bottom one. Fellow Toastmasters, honored and esteemed guests, and viewers at home. The reason I chose the bottom one is because I think I would be too embarrassed and too well, the word's not coming up. Anyway, I would not feel dignified being carried in this method. I would feel very sorry and self-conscious for the men carrying me. And I hope being that it looked like I may have a lot of wealth, I would find them a better job. That's why I chose the bottom vehicle. Besides, it looks real hot and sexy. Would I ride in the sidecar or would I be the driver? Well, heck, I'd have to be the driver. But the sidecar being there would give me a lot of self-confidence because then I would have 3 wheels and I wouldn't be so wobbly. I would really have lots of fun. I would probably have a few tickets to my name in the end. But I would really appreciate the fuel economy, especially since gas prices are starting to go back up. Unfortunately, in winter, I wouldn't be able to ride very often. However, in New York State, when I had a 45-mile commute, I would always get to this one town, and I always saw this man all dressed up. You couldn't see any piece of skin at all. He had the full helmet, he had the snowmobile suit, and he had thick, heavy gloves on, and he would ride his motorcycle whenever the roads would be dry all day. And we were kind of friends. We'd wave at each other as we went by. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Who else would like to try? Jesus. Okay. Aha. You know what you have here?
My passion.
Okay. A rowboat. The rider supplies the power.
That's not a rowboat, silly.
And this is a wingsuit.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us about one of these?
I'd like to tell you a little bit about one of this, the wingsuit. Why the wingsuit? Just seeing this picture, it makes my heart pounding. I can literally feel my heart. Why? Because this is something that I want to try. I've been jumping out of parachutes by myself with tandem, and it's just an awesome experience to go free flying. It's just a feeling hard to describe. You have to experience it yourself. However, talking about unusual ways of transportation, I like to switch it out a little bit and tell you about what I have done with my truck. I'm running my truck with gasoline and with the aid of water. You might ask yourself, how do you make a engine combustion motor run with water? We all know, I know in my little bit of education that I had, I knew that water is oxygen and hydrogen, 2 molecules of hydrogen, H2O. And what I'm doing with an electrolyzer, which is running 2 cables from the positive and the negative of the battery, a stainless steel and a coil, dipping it in water, it separates the molecules of the hydrogen and the oxygen, and I'm directing that oxygen and the hydrogen into the combustion chamber of my truck. Therefore, with the oxygen, it's helping me burn the gasoline more completely, and the hydrogen, we all know that it's a flammable gas, and I got a percentage of 44% increase in mileage on my truck. But however, there's the way the computers are made, the car nowadays, they have a computer in oxygen sensors. As I'm injecting the oxygen to the combustion chamber, the oxygen sensor is reading more oxygen. Therefore, the computer is sending a signal to send more gasoline. So I am burning more gasoline unnecessary, and I'm working on a device to trick the computer. And what I'm getting more mileage. My motor is running more smooth, and it's not running in cacophony mode, because the motor is really smooth. It has more power, and it's just an awesome feeling to know that I can put my nose in the tailpipe and I'm not polluting because I'm burning out my combustion. I like to try, and I can prove that myself one of these days. Mr. Table Toastmaster, thank you for the Yes, baking soda.
And he's off with the wingsuit.
One more.
One more. Okay, do I have another volunteer? Slobodan. This is fun, no?
Yeah.
Okay, you want me to hand you one?
No, well, yeah, give him, because I could see the printout from the back, so.
Okay. There you go. So we have wheel devices here. A tiny house being trailed behind a bike, and a rickshaw. Have at it.
Thank you. I think you had this on purpose. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and all our guests. I agree with Cindy. I probably wouldn't go with this one. Actually, a couple of times I was thinking about it, not because I like to go there, but because at one point I wanted to meet the person who's actually pulling the cart. It was in Chicago. They had this at, I think, Pier Mall, and they have students from around the world who are actually doing that for, not for fun, for some kind of money, but one of the students was a nice student from my former country. So I really wanted to go and meet her, but there was a long line, so I couldn't get to get a ride there. But this is a great thing for the, it's called a ragby. Okay, so I'm going to ragby with this. See, every time you feel like you need a nap, you just park on the side and you have a nap. Yes, you got a thermos there. You can actually have a sip. You know, you can actually offer the sip to someone else. You can probably take it somewhere close to a lake and have a friend. You can go skin dipping. Wow! We just need a full moon, right? You had a full moon. That was a big advantage. I mean, for the guy, because he could see. I mean, he could see the full moon. Very well. I'm trying to find a way how to use cacophony here, but I don't know. Unless, you know, there's some kind of rattling part here that when you go in not flat surfaces, you might come up with a cacophony sound. But the bikes are usually quite quiet. So, for now, I'm taking the upper one, and I'm going on ragby. Thank you, Mr. Tolkien.
If you want to see a vehicle that God provides the power, this would be my choice.
You didn't give me that one.
Madam Toastmaster.
Now let's keep the cacophony to a minimum while we take 1 minute to vote on the best table topic speaker.
By section.
By section? Okay. So first with table topics, Master 1.
Yeah. Everybody qualified in all the sections.
Okay, what are the names?
Okay, so for the first section, the names are Larry Allen, Jesus Rios, and Ryan Olson. For the second, oh wait, sorry. Ryan Olson didn't qualify. My mistake. He didn't qualify. So for first section, Larry Allen and Jesus Rios are the speaker that you have to vote for. Second section, Slobodan, Vera, and Will. They all qualified. Once again, for the second section, Slobodan, Vera, and Will. They all qualified. Third section, Cindy Trainer, Jesus Rios, and Slobodan. Again, they all qualified.
Now we'll have the table topics evaluators come up one by one. So the first evaluator is Will Burns.
Yo!
Karen, thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, honored distinguished guests, viewers at home. So we started off our table topics just out of the gate. There you come up here, and I like how you're enthusiastic and you really nailed the whole concept of football practice. I like how you explained some of the terminology, and I'm actually somewhat familiar with it, but I actually forgot which terms you described. But I like how you did that. Write that down. What I recommend for you is just to slow down a little bit, to take more time, because you had a very engaging, very fast-paced story. I feel like at times it was kind of hard to follow because it was going so fast. But I like how you really had a good use of humor there. Jesus, in talking about your first 3 times at school. I like how you discussed, you said these are 3 things, and then you proceeded to actually describe the 3 things. What I'd recommend for you is, you had a good amount of motion. I'd recommend that you move around the stage to make your points. So, I went from the street to a private school. I had trouble staying awake. Well, because you're so busy working at night. Because I was so busy working at night. And then I tried to get my GED, but the teacher just wasn't there. She was checked out. However, I always liked that 3-point structure, and I thought that was a very good organized way to do it, and a good way to close the end. Ryan, regarding school buddies, some of the misdeeds thereof. I liked the descriptors. That you included in your story early on. The broken windows, the paper route, and you kind of helped paint a very good scene there, I felt. Actually, what was the name of your dog again? Was it Shortbread?
Shortcake.
Shortcake. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was Shortbread. One thing I could recommend is that you, I was waiting for this, to use gestures when you're breaking the windows. Some sort of gestures, you're either punching them in, or you're throwing rocks, or you're kicking them, just to create a little more engagement. However, I liked how you told your story, and then you had a nice twist at the end. That's a very good way to kind of close it out, and it kind of left it open for the future about what could happen in the squad car. And with that,
Our second table topics evaluator is Jeff Shipley.
Yo!
Hi, fellow Toastmasters. It's great to be speaking with you this evening. I'm going to be evaluating those who answered Cindy's table topics questions, starting with Slobodan. Slobodan was asked about the Ragbri Entertainment Committee, who he would bring in and why. I was almost hoping you were just going to volunteer to entertain the crowd yourself, but you took it a different direction. First thing you did, you addressed the audience, which is always good. Let people know who you're speaking to. And you also had very good eye contact. You did a good job panning around and making eye contact with everybody. You weren't too heavy on one side or anything like that. A little bit of an area for improvement is that there are 2 instances where you're somewhat reliant on the audience to come up for terms. You kind of, got jumbled up, and then audience members ended up shouting the answer to you. And so to help with that, you probably could just slow down a little bit. You were going a little bit fast. Other than that, you would address the question very directly and answer it succinctly, so you could have done a better job with that. Second speaker was Vera Elizabeth. She spoke of dancing, and again, you jumped right into the question directly. You used a lot of descriptive words. That was great. An area of improvement I noticed for you is after you made it, you had a strong stage presence, but after you made a point, your eyes kind of drifted towards the floor. I was kind of wondering what's so interesting down on the floor. So again, just keep that eye contact direct with the audience members and engage them with your eyes. Other than that, the speech was very memorable, of course. Swimming butt naked, that's something that really resonates with me, and I appreciate that. And there's a great use of humor, so thank you for contributing that to the meeting. The last speaker was Will, and he addressed how he's going to train for the Ragbri, which of course is a very grueling and exhaustive bike ride. He took time to think in the beginning of his speech to really get his answer organized in his head, which of course is always a good idea when speaking. He also addressed the question very, very directly with solid eye contact and gave very detailed descriptions on what he was talking about. And I didn't really have any recommendations for you, but I also wanted to commend you on your elaborate gestures. You were all over the place, and you really did a good job using the stage. So thank you, guys. It was wonderful evaluation. And a Toastmaster.
And Marilyn is our third table topics evaluator.
Yo!
Hey, thank you. My name is Marilyn, and I will be evaluating arts questions. Cindy, you chose the bottom photo, and you explained very explicitly why you chose that photo. And you really analyzed why you wouldn't choose the upper photo. You really went through it very thoroughly, and why you chose the bottom photo. So I really liked your analysis. Then you told us a story, riding in the winter, and you told us a personal story. So you got a personal story in your table topics. That was great. My only comment would be to use more of the stage. You were here, and then you were here, but you could use the whole stage in this type of, especially when you're talking about vehicles, you could use the whole stage. Jesus, you started out with so much passion. The windsuit, wanting to try the windsuit. And I was kind of hoping you would continue talking about the windsuit, because that's a passion of mine too. I just want to, I just want to fly and jump off cliffs and that type of thing. But you segued to a story that was equally passionate. This was your passion. You told us about this, the truck, and your story, the energy efficiency that was attained, and so this was equally passionate. My only comment to you would be maybe slow down a little bit. Maybe give a full speech sometime on this story that you were telling us. That would really fill a whole speech. Slobodan. You gave us so much. You've referred to Cindy's speech. You referred to Vera's speech. You just brought everything in. You brought in Ragbra. You brought in the full moon. You brought in so many different things. I really liked how you analyzed the photos again. And you chose the second photo. I liked your humor, lots of humor. My only comment would be perhaps a little more organization. But great job on your table topics. Thank you. And I'm
Now we will move on to the prepared speech. We have one this evening by Darlene Martin, and Cindy Trainer will be reading her objectives and introducing. Jesus will be introducing for Darlene.
Wait time set up. Good evening once again. I'm here to introduce our next, or rather the first prepared speech of the evening, which is Darlene Martin. She will be working on project number 8 this evening, which is getting comfortable with visual aids. The title of her speech is Archetypes. A year ago, Darlene attended a workshop that included a segment about archetypes, which was fascinating and interesting to her. About 6 months ago, she read an article on an old magazine where Oprah was interviewing Caroline Myss, who was talking about her new book coming out titled Archetypes. Darlene felt drawn to this book, and it will be her main source used in this speech. There are different types of archetypes, systems, and names used to describe various archetypes. One archetype is no better than other, but rather the way they show up in the world. We each have several archetypes, giving us our own unique blend. Darlene will touch on all of the archetypes briefly and focus on 3 of her own archetypes, and she will share with us how they show up in her life. Please help me welcome Darlene Martin.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored and distinguished guests, viewers at home, and my friends who say, I saw you on TV. And thank you, Jesus, for that lovely introduction. This is a book by Carolyn Mays called Archetypes, which is my source for this evening's talk on archetypes. I'll give a brief description of the archetypes she talks about in her book, and then share with you 3 of my own archetypes and how they show up in my life. First, what is an archetype? An archetype is a pattern of behavior. It's how one engages in the world. So we're going to get right into it. Can everyone see this okay? Too high?
Good.
You're good? Okay. First archetype we're going to talk about is the advocate. They are agents for social change. This is Rosa Parks, who said, "I am no longer going to give up my seat for a white person." Also, Doctors Without Borders. The artist creative. They are about new expressions of creativity. Lady Gaga is a great example of that. The athlete is about stamina and power in the physical body. Olympians, Michael Phelps. Caregiver would be those people who care for others, service others' needs. Mother Teresa, good example of a caregiver. Fashionista, that one is a pursuit of life not about appearance, but self-empowerment. Intellectual, the knowledge of truth in all its expressions. The queen, executive, or for the male, it would be the king. They're about taking on responsibility for the well-being of others. Queen Elizabeth I should be a great example of that archetype. The rebel. The rebel breaks through barriers restricting the human spirit. Nelson Mandela. The spiritual seeker. I'd say there's pretty much a percentage of people in this room to some degree will have the spiritual seeker. The visionary. They bring the future into the present. Martin Luther King, Steve Jobs, my husband. Each of these archetypes also have different expressions. So, for example, the visionary, an entrepreneur, would fit also in this category. So what are my archetypes? How I found out based on Carolyn's system is inside the book, and also on the back of the cover is a website called archetypeme.com. And you can take a quiz, it's free. It just takes about 5 minutes. You answer a series of questions, and then it gives you 3 archetypes. So my first archetype that I'm going to talk about is the caregiver, which is coming from the heart, being of service. And how that is represented for me is the heart. I collect hearts, because that's the energy that the caregiver is coming from. Generosity, compassion. Now each archetype also has a shadow aspect. So if we want, there's like the negative and the positive aspects, but there's the shadow aspect. And for a caregiver, it's feeling like they're being selfish if they're not there to always take care of everybody, which isn't practical. You can't do that. So they have to learn to say no, which is difficult for a caregiver. They have to learn to decide who they're going to help and who they're not going to help. How that showed up in my life was I've been a preschool teacher, I've been a nanny for 4 different families, so I've cared a lot for younger people. Currently, how that shows up in my life, example, again, another heart, I have lots of these, is being of service to my clients. I'm in sales, so it's listening to them, what their needs are, and really caring that I'm meeting their needs, not just selling them something to sell them something, but that they're really happy with the product. My second archetype is the spiritual seeker. I think a lot of us in this room, as I mentioned earlier, would be able to relate to that archetype. And the challenge for the spiritual seeker is to blend the emotion and physical aspects with the spiritual part. Have harmony in all those areas. I have a sacred altar at home, and these are some of the items that represent that for me. My little incense holder, my happy Buddha,
Ha!
ha,
Ha!
and my roll here. Now, one of the shadow sides for the spiritual seeker is thinking that ordinary rules do not apply to them because they're spiritual. Nothing bad is going to happen to them.
Ha!
But we find out as we grow in life that that's not true. Spiritual seekers get sick, they have financial problems, they can go through divorce. So that's a real awakening for a spiritual seeker to look at that and realize I am actually part of humanity. I'm not just kind of up here in the ethers. Bringing all those aspects of themselves together. And they want to learn to really follow their inner voice. Listen to the inner connection that's in each of us. To follow that for your own heart. My next archetype is the artist creative. I'm very drawn to anything that's colorful, that's shiny and bright. You can see it in my clothes. I like bright things. People say, wow, that's really bright. And that's part of me expressing myself because that's part of what it is for me in being the artist creative archetype. A couple years ago, I was in a bookstore and I saw this box. I had no idea what it was, but I was drawn to it because it's shiny, it's bright, and it's artistic. And what it is a mandala coloring kit. So inside, with these beautiful color pencils, with these blank mandala cards that you can color in. And here's an example of one that I've colored in. There's also this great book in here, just also colorful, and it has these beautiful pictures of the different mandalas. And just looking at this opens my heart. It nurtures that artistic, creative part of myself. One of the challenges for the artist archetype is they want to appear to be original. They're afraid they're not going to be original, that they're going to be ordinary, that they're going to be a failure. So they need to risk stepping out, taking chances in their art, exploring it. Even if it's just something little, it can be cooking, it can be garden. It shows up in different ways for different people, dancing. I've spent a lot of my life with this archetype. And for me personally, what I'm finding, why I was drawn to this book, is I want to develop a little bit more of the artistic side, play with that a little bit more, see what comes forth and that expression. And also as a caregiver, I've learned to say no. I help when I want to help. I don't do it out of obligation. But I haven't quite found what my niche is in that, where it's fulfilling to my spirit, to my soul, and also financially rewarding. So these are two areas, and I will continue to always grow in all of them, but these are two areas that I am personally working on. So all of these archetypes are expressed probably through each one here in the room. And as we let them flow through us, they enrich ourselves as well as each other. Because if we're flowing from those deeper parts of ourselves, it goes out to everyone else. I love to learn new things and about myself and about other people. And I can see some of these archetypes in some of you here. I can see the artist creative in Jesus. He's a performer, he's a storyteller. When he gets on stage, he has a ball. I can see the queen archetype, she's not here, but in Jean. I can see it in Seth. I can see the caregiver in Vera Rose and Rhonda. So we all, as we bring, none of them is more important than the other. It's us bringing it into full expression and how that enriches our life and everyone else around us. So thank you all for going on this journey with me into archetypes. Are you going to pause it so I can clean up my mess?
It's up to
Okay,
her.
for my stuff. Oh. Do you want to pause it?
She's in charge.
Sure, let's pause it and then get ready for the...
Go ahead, Karen.
So now we'll move on to the evaluation section. We'll have Rhonda come up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, viewers at home, I will be evaluating the evaluators tonight and make some general comments on the meeting. Our evaluator for Darlene, Jesus, is coming up to give his evaluation of her speech. Please help me welcome Jesus.
Good evening once again. My name is Jesus, and I'm here to do the evaluation for our wonderful speaker tonight, Lynn Martin. And I will just do what the protocol for Toastmasters is, just go down the menu. Were the visual aids appropriate for the speech and message? What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yo! I thought that it was just an excellent presentation of every single piece that you had here in this place. Did the visual aid help to understand and remember the speaker's point? Most definitely. Appreciate that you got out those archetypes, and in the way I believe that we all of us saw ourselves in there. What part of that is an us? And I recommend to go and check out the archetypeme.com. I'm gonna do that, and I hope you guys take time to do that because I think it's really interesting. I appreciate the speech. Was each visual aid clearly visible? Yes, it was. Pretty good size, bigger than it was necessary for the room, so it was perfect. If the speaker is a computer, I guess you're on his computer, we jump to the next question. The next remark here, did the speaker use the visual aids smoothly and with confidence? Most definitely. It obviously was really well practiced, or it's something that you just believe in it and it's your passion. You just educate us about the archetypes, so it made it really clear. How clear was the speaker's purpose? I think it was really clear. Just to help us understand what kind of archetypes we are, and in the way to help us know ourselves better. Did the speaker's body language to reinforce the message? Excellent, satisfactory, could improve. I would say that was satisfactory. I see in your previous speeches you get more passionate and you use your body to communicate the message. In this speech, I think that you could have used a little bit more. Just saturate, just make it more vivid. Was the speaker word choice effective and appropriate? Yes, it was really effective. Was the speech well researched? Again, that was obvious that you took time to research, and it's some information that you carry with you. It's part of your archetype, who you are. What could the speaker have done differently to make the speech more effective? My only advice here, or my suggestion would be, is, like I say, use more your body language to convey the message, and perhaps a little bit of voice variety. Other than that, I think then it was an excellent speech presented here by Darlene. Mr. Table Toastmaster. Madam Toastmaster.
No, Madam General Evaluator. You're supposed to be up front too.
Rhonda Whitaker.
You take a minute.
Now we will vote for the best evaluator, including table topics evaluators. Timer, Rahul, could you please tell us who?
Everybody
qualified?
qualified.
Thank you.
And their name are Jesus Rios, who was the speech evaluator, and then the table topic evaluator Will Burns, Jeff Shipley, and Marilyn Graber.
And the sections for Will and Marilyn?
They,
Will is section 1.
Will is section 1, Jeff is section 2, Marilyn is section 3.
Thank you. So let's take a moment. And vote. Now we're going to have our 1-minute report from Rahul Bhatts, our timer.
All right, I'd like to present my report here. Everybody did well, and we did keep track on time mostly. The table topic speaker were Larry Allen, who spoke for 1 minute 58 seconds, Jesus Rios 2 minutes 27 seconds, Ryan Olsen went over the time, 3 minutes 13 seconds, Subhadan Dubinsky 140, Vera Elizabeth 142, Will Burns 202, Cindy Trainer 2 minutes 12 seconds, Jesus Rios 2 minutes 24 seconds, Subhadan 1 minute 54 seconds. Darlene in her speech spoke for 11 minutes and 8 seconds. Jesus in her evaluation of Darlene spoke for 3 minutes 18 seconds. Will Burns spoke for 3 minutes sharp in his evaluation. Jeff Shipley was very minimal, spoke for 2 minutes 1 second. Marilyn Graber 2 minutes 21 seconds. I did notice one thing, and I'd like to tell that. Will Burns and Cindy Trainer made good use of their 30-second grace period. They could have been disqualified, but I didn't disqualify them for that.
Thank you, Rahul. Our counter,
You
Ria
went over
Singh.
that, I'm sorry.
Ria, would you please give your 1-minute report?
Karen, 2 so's and 1 and. Catherine, oh, I have nothing. Did Catherine talk?
Yes.
I did. I had
She had to make one. I'll be on about.
Slobbing on. 2 uhs, 3 ums, 1 you know, 4 so's and 1 tongue click. Larry, 3 uhs and 5 so's. Jesus, 3 uhs, 2 so's, 1 but, and 6 ands and 1 Xerox. Ryan, 5 ands and 7 ums, 1 you know, 1 so, and 2 ands. Cindy, 2 ands. Vera, 3 ands, 1 2 so's, 3 ands. Will, 1 1 4 so's, and 1 and. Art, 1 so. Rahul, 1 and 1 Jeff, 1 2 ums, 1 you know, and 1 so. Marilyn, 4 ahs, 1 you know, 1 but. Darlene, 2 so's, 2 ands, and 5 very, very small tongue clicks. I'm not sure if they were or not. And that's the report for tonight.
Now we'll hear from our grammarian, Catherine Kens.
Yo!
All right. So starting us off with Karen winning the cacophony usage. Okay, just pretty much went in order of the people that spoke. So Slobodan, when you were giving us options of choosing numbers for our table topics, you gave us options from 1 through 3, 1 through 4, 1 through 5. You could just say 1 through 5. Let's see, Larry, you said about the same many. You might want to choose about the same amount instead, or the same number when you were describing the football team and how many players were on each side. Jesus, you said doing so good. You would want to switch that over to doing so well. Ryan, I only had one school buddy. That really painted a picture for me, and picking the finest stones from the bank. Vera, I was like when you described your interest of getting the inspiration to dance that evening, you might want to say I was inspired to go dancing, or I felt like dancing. I really loved, and I would say my highlight of the night was another line from your speech that you said, I was living a Splitwood pump water life. Karen used cacophony, as I mentioned earlier, twice. Cacophony to settle down. Let's bring this cacophony to a minimum when we're doing our evaluations. Cindy, you mentioned 3 wheels you would prefer when you were choosing your transportation, and that's because it wouldn't be so wobbly. And you also mentioned that you wouldn't feel dignified if you were carried around. I beg to differ, but let's see, Jesus, you were not running in cacophony mode. That would not be a good use of this word. Cacophony is a noun, so as opposed to a verb, which is an action word. So you might want to reconsider that. Slobodan, the analogy of the full moon. I think we all got that. Jesus, somebody mentioned this earlier as well. You went from the street to a private school. That painted a clear picture in my mind, that transition phase for you. Jeff, you enjoyed swimming butt naked, and that resonated with you. I think some of us could relate to that as well. Marilyn, I want to fly and jump off cliffs. And finally, my friends who say, I saw you on TV, colorful clothes, and expressions.
We're running over time here. Do we have a short joke tonight from Larry?
Short.
Short.
And it gotta be good on TV too.
Now this is a short.
Madam Toastmasters, guests, and viewers. Myrtle is 85 years old. She's asked about her life. She said, I've just had a storybook life. Well, how's that, Myrtle? She says, I've outlived 4 husbands. 4 husbands? My goodness gracious, how'd this happen? My first husband was a doctor, made all kinds of money. Then he died. Then I married a man who ran the circus, who traveled around the country. What a show, which is great. Then he died. I married a man who was a minister, talking about the Bible. Then he died. Then I married a mortician, who talking about the afterlife, and he died. So it's just been a storybook life. Well, Myrtle, what do you mean storybook life? 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 to go.
A quick evaluation of our meeting tonight. I would like to start off by thanking Will Burns and the other officers that showed up on time for the 6:30 meeting tonight, and also for the help and assistance with setting up the poles in the room for our stage. This is a background operations that people don't usually see when they come to the general meeting. I also appreciate that we had a meeting where each person contributed as a leader during the officers' meeting. That is a very meaningful experience for me as a new officer in the club, and it helps build confidence for the rest of the new officers in the club. And officer nominations will be coming up in the next month. Tonight, I felt that the meeting started a little bit late. I would like to see our members show up at 7:30 instead of 7:45 or 46. It takes some organization to make our group run smoothly. And when we come in a little over the line, everybody's a little nervous. And it doesn't do much for self-confidence. So that would be my favorite thing, to see people be timely. I love the table topics, breaking up into 3 groups. I think Will did a wonderful job engaging people directly, looking people in the eye and telling them what he thought they did well. He made his points well on the stage, and he smiled. He looked like he was enjoying what he was doing. If I said anything for an improvement for Will, it would be to come up front and smile the very first thing. I see you engaged with your heart, with the audience, with the person you're talking to all the time. And that's a big plus for me as a viewer, to see someone who is sincere. Thank you. Jeff, I think you have a very dynamic style of speaking. It's clear, it's matter of fact, it's very quick. And one thing I would say is just slow it down just a little. You cover a lot of territory in the time that you have, and you were very good to stay within your time, in fact, a little under your time. But I love the way that you pointed out to each person the things they did right. There were several things you mentioned. You were very thorough with each person that spoke. Thank you. Marilyn, you are a veteran here with evaluations tonight. I enjoyed the way you used the word analysis. For Cindy and Slobodan, they're both very scientific people. You made your points with them. You talked about Jesus' passion and the way he expressed himself and took it into another topic. He's overflowing with topics. He could make some more speeches for us about the car engine. And I would enjoy hearing that myself, how you trick the computer. I don't really have any suggestions for Marilyn. I thought she did a nice job. Our Toastmaster Karen handled it smoothly tonight. She's been on top of every change and role. The only thing I would suggest is practice talking a little louder. Somehow get a little more projection behind your voice. And talking in the same loud voice all the time is very boring. But if you get excited like Jesus and Darlene and Rahul and Jeff and Catherine, it becomes fun and we laugh. That helps us loosen up. I think my 4 minutes might be up, and I haven't.
You didn't do Jesus, did you?
I haven't. Jesus was very dignified in his introduction. I enjoyed hearing him read slowly and clearly. He brought a side of himself to the stage I hadn't seen before, because I always see him when he's up here lively and moving around and kind of fiery, and he was dignified, like a slow burning hot coals on the fire tonight. I would say keep talking a little slower if I told you anything, so that we can follow you when you're excited.
Thank you.
All right, so one last thing I would like to ask also is that our reporters watch their time. We don't always time it. The timer isn't always timing you, and it's easy. I did the same thing when I started being grammarian and counter. I would be talking for 2 to 3 minutes, and I didn't even realize it. So I would just ask, please consider your time. Ask the timer to time you if you feel like you might go over. I thought everyone did a wonderful job tonight. Thank you. I'd like to turn this meeting back over to Karen Aoki.
Now it's time to present the awards. Drum roll, please. For our first table topic section, we have Jesus.
speaker?
Comes as no surprise. Oh, best speaker.
Yes.
It was a great speech. Thank you. For your friends at home. Okay. Thank you. And for the evaluator, best evaluator goes to Jeff.
Yo!
You have one more. Right.
Number 8.
Number 8 for. Now we'll turn the meeting over to our president, Will Byrne.
Yo!
Thank you, Karen, for stepping up here as Toastmaster. Thank you, Toastmasters, for coming out here and expressing yourselves in the many varied roles. We have a guest. You've been here before several times. What was your experience like tonight?
Very enlightening, good topics, keeping in time, so we don't say the word and, or but, trying to eliminate those words. We still have some humor, and keep things on a enlightening note. That's positive. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot to think about here. Fortunately, there's only one thing left to think about here at the club, and that's just helping us to pick up and clean up, and then you can think about going home. Thank you.